Rain was falling in delicate, trembling streams down the cafe windows, blurring the colors of the city into soft watercolor smears. Inside, the warm hum of conversation mingled with the rich aroma of freshly ground coffee. At a corner table near the window, Elena Carter sat perfectly still, her hands wrapped around a porcelain cup she hadn't touched in minutes. Her gaze was fixed, not on the raindrops outside, but on the small girl sitting beside her, a little girl with chestnut-brown curls and eyes too old for her age. Lily was tracing invisible shapes on the tabletop, lost in her own silent world. Then it happened. A shadow fell across their table, and a tall man, his hair slightly messy, his shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, knelt beside Lily. Without saying a single word, he began moving his hands with fluid, practiced grace. Lily's eyes widened. Her tiny fingers hesitated, then answered back. Sign language. Elena's heart stopped. For the first time in months, she saw her daughter's face light up with a joy so pure, it pierced straight through her. But the man didn't just speak to Lily. His last few signs were directed at Elena herself, and they carried words she never expected to hear. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of strangers to change our lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Hope. Your support helps us keep telling stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Elena Carter wasn't just any mother, she was the CEO of a global marketing firm, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and silence it with her presence. She had built her empire from the ground up, fighting through a male-dominated industry with sheer willpower. But all the influence, the awards, the power meant nothing in the one battle she couldn't win, the one for her daughter's voice. Lily had been born with a rare neurological condition that made her unable to speak. Doctors had said she could live a full life, but speech would likely never come. Elena had tried everything, top specialists, advanced therapy, experimental programs overseas. But with each failure, Lily retreated further into herself, her laughter replaced with a silence so heavy it filled every corner of their home. It was on one of those heavy days that Elena found herself in that small neighborhood cafe. She'd been avoiding public places with Lily lately, the stares, the awkward questions, the pity, they all grated on her. She preferred the controlled environment of her office or their home. But Lily had tugged at her sleeve that morning, holding up her sketchbook where she had drawn a steaming coffee cup and a cookie. It was her way of asking, and Elena couldn't say no. The cafe was quiet enough, tucked away from the busy streets. Elena ordered a latte for herself and a warm chocolate chip cookie for Lily. She sat, watching the rain, trying to forget the phone full of missed calls from her office. That's when she noticed him, the man at the counter, paying for his coffee with one hand while balancing a little boy in the other arm. The boy was maybe 3, with bright blonde hair and the sleepy eyes of someone who'd been dragged out in bad weather. Elena barely paid attention until she saw the man glance over at their table, pause, and walk toward them. He didn't speak right away. He simply crouched down so he was at Lily's level and began moving his hands, deliberate, gentle gestures, his fingers dancing in the air. Lily froze, eyes locked on him. Then, slowly, as if waking from a long dream, her hands answered. Elena felt her throat tighten. It had been so long since she'd seen Lily engage with anyone outside of her therapists, and here she was, signing back to a complete stranger. The man's face softened as Lily's fingers moved faster, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. The truth was, Elena had never learned much sign language herself. She knew the basics, thank you, love you, hungry, but the demands of her career and her own frustration had kept her from committing fully. Watching the two of them was like watching her daughter step into a world Elena couldn't quite follow. She felt both grateful and ashamed. When the man finally looked up, his eyes met hers, and for a moment, the busy cafe faded away. His hands formed new shapes, slower now, directed at her. She recognized enough to piece together the message, she's brilliant. Don't give up. It turned out his name was Daniel Brooks, a widowed single father. His late wife had been deaf, and he'd learned sign language not just for her, but for their son, who'd inherited partial hearing loss. He told Elena, signing and speaking gently so she could follow, that he'd seen Lily sitting there, her hands restless, her eyes hungry for connection. "I couldn't just walk away," he said softly. That meeting became the first of many. Daniel began visiting the cafe every Saturday with his son, always at the same time. At first, Elena was cautious, hovering over Lily like a hawk. But each week, Lily grew bolder, signing faster, laughing silently in a way that filled the whole room with light. And each week, Elena found herself staying longer, talking with Daniel about everything from sign language to parenting to the quiet grief of feeling helpless as a parent. Daniel didn't offer false hope. He didn't try to fix Lily. He just met her exactly where she was, showing Elena something she hadn't realized she'd been missing: acceptance. Slowly, Elena began learning more sign language herself, practicing late at night, replaying lessons on her laptop until the shapes felt natural in her hands. The first time she signed, "I'm proud of you," to Lily without hesitation, her daughter beamed so brightly Elena had to look away before the tears fell. The change in Lily was undeniable. Her drawings became more expressive, her eyes brighter. She even started making friends at a local children's sign language group Daniel had recommended. And for Elena, the woman who had spent her life in control, the greatest lesson was learning to let go, to accept that her daughter didn't need fixing. She needed understanding. Months later, on a sunny Saturday, Elena arrived at the cafe to find Lily already in animated conversation with Daniel and his son. Elena stood in the doorway for a moment, just watching. There was no awkwardness, no barrier, no pity, just connection. And in that moment, Elena realized something else. This wasn't just about Lily finding her voice. It was about Elena finding hers, too. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Hope. Your engagement helps us share more moments like this, stories that remind us that the smallest acts of kindness can change a life forever.